all the energy you guys have been putting into the comments and such lately. And
Mhm.
then next we go to, well, you're going to take the floor and talk to us about, I guess nothing more than what could be described as a super drone.
Yeah, give me just 2 seconds. I'm sorting out that link for the chat,
Okay.
and
Dun,
it
dun,
should be it
dun.
should be good now. What's that?
No, I said dun dun dun. Super chat.
Yeah, 5 seconds, and should be updating now. So yeah, if you guys wanted to, stick around for the stream, don't leave us. But just know if you did refresh it or whatever, there'll be an extra link down below, which is the one I just said from Forbes about the Tesla Superchargers
Sweet.
possibly opening up. So there you go. Yeah, but so moving on to the next one. Let me get my links up.
There you go. It's all yours.
The next one is from the Daily Mail. It's a UK website, but it talks about something happened in Tucson, Arizona. You guys may have heard about this possibly in the news, but I know Mike and we mentioned, we've been talking about it for a few days, and we keep forgetting to put it in where the segments we wanted to get it in there, but it's something we talk about today. And so basically, it's to say over in Tucson, Arizona, earlier, and actually a few months ago, they had a drone that was detected by CBP, the Border Protection helicopter, an AS-350, and it was flying dangerously close to the aircraft. It didn't hit anything, but they wanted to obviously investigate it, and they ended up calling in the Tucson PD. Long story short, this drone, whatever it was flying over 10,000 miles or 10,000 feet above sea level, up to 14,000, sometimes going up to 100 miles an hour,
That's impressive.
averaging 70 miles an hour. It flew like this for about an hour. And was obviously, as it said, say in here, it orbited the helicopters a few times, basically trying to get behind them and stay behind them. So kind of playing around with them for a while, and then eventually it ended up flying in the airspace, the military airspace over Davis Monthan Air Base over there, and was last seen 12,000 feet, going 74 miles an hour into the clouds, and then they lost it. So the things to pull out of here real quick. So Mike and I do have some drones. If we'll call them hobby
Yeah.
drones, but they're not low end drones, but they're not like custom
Hmm.
drones we might be talking about here with this thing. And to fly a drone for at least an hour, minimum an hour, at over 70 miles an hour and any 12,000 feet,
Yeah.
and literally just kind of playing with CBP, Customs and Border Protection, and then Tucson Police is not on the normal capabilities of the drone you can go by. Um, so it's something we definitely want to talk about. I mean, in this article, you can go down. So there's a lot to talk about in here. A lot
Oh
of
yeah.
details. It was an AS-350, a Jet Ranger. If you know a Bell 206 Jet Ranger. There's a little diagram down here. You can see an over-the-top view of the flight path it took.
Yeah, and that's impressive. That's really
It's
impressive.
the distance it's covered in that time
Yeah.
frame is, again, as Mike said, that's impressive. We're talking a
That takes
drone
some work.
that I have to. I mean,
You took a big
I
breath.
have to think how, there's everything from power plant to endurance
Hmm.
to control. Like literally, it's unmanned, right? This is a drone.
Hmm.
So where is the controller? Because that line of sight from anything, and like with that amount of distance traveled, with the fidelity, to make out, where their helicopter is, literally play around, go to circle around them. That's Are we talking like sat communication with this drone? I mean, what are we?
I
This
don't
is
know
not
because
not your normal drone.
let's look at
So
this. This is from the PD's.
yeah,
This is their 30. This is not the Bell Jet Ranger, I believe. This was the PD helicopter. So wait, which one in the article was which was? Because anyhow, you can see
this is the
here.
police
This is the
helicopter.
police
The three
helicopter, the
that
PD.
one there.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically, what they end up doing here is they're off on a tangent, and they orbit, which means I'm assuming at this point when they're orbiting this object that it was stationary at some level before it took back off again. And then as it orbited them, they were trying to reposition behind it, right? So that's what it sounds like from the article. Although I would have loved
Mhm.
to seen the onboard footage to see if this thing was more of a quad type design or a winged design with a pusher engine. If it was really vertical or hoverable capable, that would be one other thing to be really interested in. I imagine it was draped in some sort of sophisticated enough systems that it knew where this helicopter was or could keep eyes on it so that it would reposition itself as needed,
Yep.
indicating that it probably had some level of almost, look down capability, look down almost, um, maybe not weapons grade, but some sort of ability to look forward or see forward as a targeting system. But hey, we do know that the military possesses drones, but speed
Yeah.
170 to 100 knots. is not easy, sustainable for an hour, and at those altitudes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tucson, Arizona is pretty
Mhm.
high, right? It's
It says it's also estimated between 4 and 6 feet diameter, possibly 4 or 6 configure rotors. So we're not so from the article, it does not appear it's like a airplane drone. It
mhm,
appears that it's like a quad, like a big quad, a big, obviously custom quad of some kind.
right. So Tucson, Arizona, even as a base altitude is 2,300 feet, the base, the general area. All right. So already you're talking about this thing is in an environment that if it got to 14,000 feet, I've had people before tell me, oh, there's no way a DJI drones make it up to 14,000 feet. And I'm like, you want to bet? Because that thing can
Yeah.
make it every
Yeah.
bit of 14,000 feet because it can go vertical in a climb almost 3,000 feet per second if it's tuned the right way. Right. 3,000 feet per
Mhm.
second, do the math. It's got enough battery power for 24 minutes. That thing could easily get in front of an airliner. And at 6,000 feet, I'm pretty sure we blasted past one over O'Hare at one point or another on the downwind, which we had to report to ATC because birds aren't shiny. Let's just,
Mhm.
that's just one of those things.
Well, just as the last thing, just touching on exactly what you said, the same article here says in 2008, a Learjet reported a drone flying at 40,000 feet over southern Arizona.
That's impressive.
That's We'd have to investigate that because that's an impressive number.
Hmm.
Um, but again, this is not impossible. That might not be talking quads at 40,000. You're talking jet streams and whatnot up there, nevertheless,
Nevertheless, I
there's
mean,
the FBI is involved, and yeah, so
routinely drones are deployed to cover aerial photography at places like Pikes Peak and other high area altitude areas. So it's capable.
mhm,
Man, the duration though, the real thing that's got me here is the duration. If this thing
mhm,
wasn't fuel based and it was electric based and it was of a certain size that had to carry the batteries to do this, or if it was an engine design or
mhm.
motor design that was hyper efficient yet still could achieve these speeds, wow. Somebody,
Yeah.
somebody, I don't know who, but somebody's got
Mhm.
themselves a really nice drone. And had they been able to follow it home, all the way home, we would have found out who the operator was. But the fact that it
Mhm.
outlasted these two helicopters is also another wow.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, is that the incident, as we said, ends with it somewhere around 12,000 feet. It goes in the clouds, and then the helicopters break off because they need to go refuel. So yeah, it literally. They didn't have. I don't know if they took off. They might have been airborne already. Long story short, exactly the thing that Mike said. That one of the most impressive parts about this whole story is the endurance of such a thing.
Hmm.
And again, are we talking DoD? Are we talking some rich guy in the area that's just put a bunch of crazy stuff on board? Yeah. So,
Well,
um,
well, now the other thing is, as it got into military airspace, I wonder, I would assume that they've got sophisticated enough technology to detect, number one. Number two, that person, I mean, if you want to talk about all the rules that were broken that this thing actually did, which was come fly beyond line of
yeah,
sight for
yeah,
the
yeah,
basic
yeah.
operator, fly in the operation or near operations of other aircraft,
Hmm.
bust airspace, we're talking about whoever, if this wasn't someone from the military, they would be in jail because the FAA stipulates that would have to be operated safely. And there's, from everything that I
Hmm.
can tell right
A bunch
now,
of
yeah,
rules, bunch of rules for that. Yeah.
bunch of rules that they broke. So, ah, especially
Mhm.
probably weight, registration,
Oh
to name
yeah,
a few.
yeah. Something that's 6 feet across that again has the endurance, whether
Hmm.
it's fuel or batteries. Batteries for an
Yeah.
hour at this speed would be. I'm almost leaning that it must have been fuel based, which
Okay.
ironically leads me to the other article I found.
All right.
I don't know if
So
you want me to go over to that, but
let's well, you know what? Let's close this one out. So hey folks, on this particular subject alone, let us know what you think. A super drone
Mhm.
flying out there. Who do you think owned it? And on top of who do you think owned it? Who do you think was flying it? On top of that,
Yeah.
what do you think it probably looked like? And if you have any other inside information, let us know because in Corey's digging, he actually did find a probable, if not likely, candidate for the company that could have been behind some of the propulsion.
Possibly, yeah. So, and before we go, yeah, so Brad just says maybe we should look at the hangars in Area 51.
Ah, you know,
I don't know. It's over in the west, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. So